horror. Possession. 3D.
Asylum.
Harvest.
Strange Aeons Radio presents the Amityville Horror Picture Show. That is Eric Morgan over there. I am Kelly. We are your hosts on this very strange journey of the Amityville film franchise, of which there are over 40 films now as of this recording, 10 of which were released in 2022, and I have seen 3 so far that will be released in the first quarter of 2023. There are so many because the actual Amityville murders of November 13th, 1974 are public fact, and there can be no copyright on the name of Amityville because it is a real city. Each episode features a revolving door of guest hosts, and today I am thrilled to have someone we are all very familiar with, our co-host of Strange Aeons Radio, Vanessa Williams.
Hello.
Vanessa, first of all, you've got to be thrilled that there is no egg timer on this show.
Oh my God, I'm so relieved.
How about take 30 seconds and brag about yourself for listeners who don't know you from Strange Aeons Radio?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Vanessa. I am a local filmmaker / film editor. I've been in the business for 17 years. I've worked on television, feature films, TV, and currently do a lot of video game trailers. That's kind of my gig. I'm a giant nerd. I love Star Trek.
You're our favorite nerd.
Yay! I should get a prize for that.
Vanessa, one of the things that we like to start with every guest is ask what your Amityville horror origin story is. You were born after all of the hype. So I'm curious, as you were growing up, if this was something you were aware of as only a movie, or if you knew about what supposedly happened before you ever saw the movie?
0%. No information.
Really?
Only knew of it as a movie series that was supposedly spooky. And so I watched the first 2, and I honestly this morning was like, I wonder if those are real or not. And I was like, I don't think they were.
Like this morning you didn't realize that, but you knew it was based on real events, right?
I knew it was based on real events, like roughly, but everything is based on real events. So I knew the Warrens existed and are bullshit. So I kind of knew that much.
Yes, we're big fans of hating on the Warrens.
Yeah. Excellent.
Well said.
We asked you to do Amityville 3D with us.
Yes, which is great because I saw 1 and 2. So now I'm like, all right, I'm ready for 3.
Amityville 3D, which is also known as Amityville the Demon.
Yes.
1983, a budget of $6 million, a box office of $6 million, and a Rotten Tomatoes critic score of 18%. Okay, you guys. This was directed by Richard Fleischer, who has 62 directing credits, including Fantastic Voyage, Dr. Dolittle, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and Soylent Green. It was written by David Ambrose, who has 32 writing credits, including The Final Countdown, Daryl, and Year of the Gun, which I just found out today Frankenheimer directed.
Oh, really?
Isn't that what you were saying on Strange Aeons Radio?
Yes, that's right. That is right.
It stars Tony Roberts, a very recognizable character actor, 65 credits, including Serpico, Annie Hall, Radio Days, Popcorn. Tess Harper, who has 112 credits, including Tender Mercies, Silkwood, No Country for Old Men. Lori Loughlin, who really loves her daughter, and has 74 credits, including Rad, Back to the Beach, and 152 episodes of Full House. Yeah. And Meg Ryan, who has 53 credits, including Top Gun, Inner Space, When Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle, City of Angels. Clearly the best actor in this movie, right? I mean,
she
shines
good.
Sure. Yeah. I bring all this up because this is a really bad movie with a ton of talent behind it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very true.
It's kind of crazy.
The whole world knows the story of this house. Now, its terror takes on a new dimension. As the horror reaches out beyond the edge of the screen.
Get out! Everybody get out of the house!
Dino De Laurentiis presents Amityville 3D.
I thought that the movie started out kind of fun with the man and the woman showing up at the Amityville house where there's a seance being held, and then they expose the people who are doing the seance as charlatans. Best scene in the movie?
No.
Oh,
Not the best
really?
scene in the movie, but pretty good. I like it a lot.
I love the guy with the floating glowing
Yes.
globe and his
In all
face.
black.
He's in all black except his face is a white guy. He's like, that's plus it's a room. This is not a large hallway or something. This is a room where some guy is running through with a pole and some glowing thing hanging from the bottom.
Light up cloud. That's definitely not just a JPEG dancing across the screen. But yeah,
It was
like,
not a JPEG dancing across the screen.
It
That
was
I can
not?
promise you. Well, this was made in what?
83?
83.
I mean, I guess not JPEG, but I figured like a piece of film was just like woot, woot, woot.
I thought that there was, this movie is bullshit, just like every movie in this franchise, it turns out. But I love that Tony Roberts comes in there and he's like, are you sure it's going to be okay, considering this is the house where it all happened? And the opening scene is the eyes on the outside of the house. And I feel like we all know this is the house where it all happened,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
But they couldn't say certain things for legal reasons. They
Right.
weren't allowed to reference a lot of the original aspects of the story.
Am I crazy in thinking he says that at the beginning and then seems to very quickly forget everything that happened in the house and then spends the rest of the time being like, nothing really is about this house though?
He is infuriatingly, what's the word I'm looking for? This house is oozing with evil.
Yeah.
And he's oblivious to it.
Totally oblivious. I
Oh,
mean,
he's
purposely so.
Paranormal, what's the name of the magazine he works for? Like the
Reveal.
yeah, where his whole job is to
God.
think all this stuff is BS. So
Yeah.
I mean that fits his character, even to the point where sometimes if your livelihood is based on being full of shit, when you're shown that you're full of shit, you deny it. It's like,
Right.
nope, this is fine.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So he's a reporter for Reveal magazine, and it turns out that the woman with him is his partner photographer in the magazine.
Yeah.
Not a romantic interest or
Yeah, it's a little
anything.
weird.
In a very strange scene, the real estate agent who's trying to sell the house basically gives it to him for a steal.
Yes.
He says, I can't even move the house on either side of this house because of what happened. We know that is full of shit, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if Vanessa, you just bought a house. You got it for a steal, it sounds like. Well, but if they had said, there is also a well to hell in the basement, would you have been like, well, that's a no starter for me? Or would you have been like, I can work around it?
How about 50,000 more off the top?
Right.
Yeah. I definitely was like, I don't know that I would want to buy this, but I also don't think that either house on either side should care because they don't have a well to hell. They're fine.
Well, and also in the real world, the houses on either side of 112 Ocean Avenue were fine. They
Yes.
were,
Yeah.
because they didn't believe any of this shit anyway.
The real estate agent seemed like the way the character is portrayed beginning to his end in the getting killed immediately after selling his house. Like, so did the house hire this guy as their real
I was
estate
wondering that
agent?
too.
It's like, well, you did your job, sir. We're done with you now.
Well, he's so marked in those photos where they develop
Yeah.
the pictures and his face is all weird. And it's like, oh, is he like possessed? Like, did the house get him and be like, oh, now you're going to sell us to an unsuspecting
Holy shit,
family?
you guys! You're opening my eyes to a storyline that I didn't realize was happening there. And why hasn't that been like a through line through all of the movies?
that'd be-
Is
yeah, that'd be
that
great.
the real estate agent is owned by the house. I do love when he finds the real estate agent dead in the house. He doesn't think for the briefest moment, there is a lot of bad history about this house, and the real estate agent died in it. Yes,
No problem. Yeah.
I have so many questions about that guy's death because he seems to be attacked by flies who sit on him, and then that kills him. And I was like, maybe they meant for it to be bees because then he's all puffy when they get to him. But the guy's like, he had like a stroke or something. I don't know.
Puffy stroke.
Puffy stroke.
I
And I'm
do
like,
love
what is this?
This is a 3D movie, and I love his hand reaching for the guy
for
as he's dying.
All the 3D moments are beautiful in this movie.
You talked about the photos of the real estate agent. They show him as, I think it's supposed to be a rotting corpse,
Oh.
but I only get that by looking up what it was supposed to be.
Oh, okay.
To me, it just looked like a weird twist of image.
Yeah.
First of all, it's a huge ripoff of The Omen, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And I would have been fine with it if they took it a bit further, like maybe The Ring did, in that where everyone
Marked.
who was marked by it, and it could have been a way to. It could have been a tool that they could have investigated the house a little more thoroughly, I think, in any of the ways. But how cool would it have been if they had implemented the 3D into the photograph she was taking, or the photography? I think that, there was some missed moments in this for sure.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of the flies, too, it's like, there's some weird shit done in this film with the flies. It's like, why is there a fly in the elevator and controlling how the elevator works?
And I kept thinking in that elevator scene, I was like, okay, they added that fly in afterwards, right?
Yeah.
But then every once in a while, I would see the shadow of the fly on him.
He
and I was
swatted
like,
at it.
Yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
is that fly really in there? And how did they get the fly to actually be on camera?
They just released like 5 in there and hoped
Just
one would
hoped.
go past.
I give this one the 3D effect.
So, did you guys see this in 3D then? Like,
No,
oh,
when I
okay.
first saw this, it was a rental
Okay.
in like 1983, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm kind of guessing when it's 3D because, they do the whole House of Wax, like, yo-yo at the screen where you're
Yes.
like, okay, this is meant to be in my face.
Well, look, and also, unfortunately, I mean, it becomes very clear the best 3D scene is just the title when it first comes up
sure.
and starts
Bending
shifting and
around.
everything. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so it's like,
Whoa.
oh, I bet you that looks awesome. And then the rest of the 3D was, yes, a finger pointing at you or something like that. Really bad.
Yeah.
Also, Melanie has access. Are we to believe that this parapsychological company that investigates the weird shit is Reveal Magazine?
Yeah. That's what I
Yes.
got out of it.
I mean,
That's what it was, but
that's
that's what I got
insane,
out
right?
of it.
Well, they have all these like scientists, like a science portion to
Yeah.
their magazine where like every time they go in the science office, there's a window of science happening
Yes.
behind.
That's right, yeah.
And also the guy, by the way, has like a framed photo of an exit door. Very weird choice. Not quite sure what's going on there. But yeah, I don't know what is up with this magazine and how it's linked into like real paranormal research.
Okay, so now that we're talking this out, now I'm wondering if Reveal is just kind of a side thing that they report their findings and their actual,
Maybe, but when they show you the stack of the magazine covers, it looks like the national news or the Bat Boy
yeah.
kind of stuff.
It looks
so
very
I don't know.
tabloidish, yeah. Very strange. But I do love that. At first, I was trying to figure out what was going on. She brings the camera in, and I was like, did she bring this to a doctor, and the doctor is examining it, or what is happening? Because he seems very comfortable with a camera.
I do not understand that man.
No.
I don't get it at all.
He had one of the great 3D moments too, with his eye in the magnifying glass.
Oh, yes.
It's like, oh boy,
Hello.
that must have looked amazing.
The her whoever wrote the film too, like didn't quite get developing film either.
Right.
At that time when you had to develop it by hand, it's like, might want to turn off that bright white light.
I was just like, they must have done things really different in the 70s. I don't know.
I feel like that was probably Richard Fleischer's thing. He's like, look, I can't show this scene in the dark,
That's right. Yeah.
so nobody will know what's going on here. The photographer becomes a believer of the house being haunted well before John, who is moving his shit in and telling his daughter, hey, go ahead and pick out a room.
Would you like to the history house before you pick up the
Right,
room?
exactly.
No.
Now 5 people were murdered in any one of the bedrooms you might pick out. I hope that's not going to bother you at all. But
As the movie goes on, the photographer is just sort of removed to this weird, her own sort of strange side story that really has,
Yeah.
and they bring in the guy's wife
Who is
to
just
interact
Yeah.
more.
the worst actress I've seen in a long time on film.
Which one?
The
Tess
wife. The wife.
Yeah.
She's awful.
she's pretty bad. But that's what I'm saying. This can't be her fault because you
Yeah,
look
no,
at the
she's pretty
films
good.
she's been in, Tender Mercies and Silkwood and all that. This is the director either,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just completely phoning this in, or who knows what the backstory of him taking
Yeah.
a shit job like this is.
Because she is just god awful consistently. And the kids are pretty, there is like a wild range of acting ability because the kids are pretty good. I mean, Meg Ryan and I think Laurie are
Yeah.
both awesome.
Well, Meg
They're
Ryan's
pretty
like,
good.
this is my second film I think she was in.
Right.
It's like, I gotta make my mark. I gotta get going. I don't care what this guy's saying. I'm doing my own shit.
Yeah.
It should also be noted that Fleischer, the director, his next films after this are Conan the Destroyer and Red Sonja. So, not great.
No.
John is so oblivious to the house that you kind of want to throttle him.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
kept on hoping it would be revealed that he knew the house was evil the whole time, either to lull it into a false sense of security so he could like exercise it, surprising
God.
it or something, or maybe somehow use it to kill his wife.
Oh.
Is what I was kind of hoping. But it turns out he's just like willfully ignorant of the entire proceeding.
Hey, a deal's a deal. You
right.
know?
I got the house.
That's
he
right.
He needed more room and he needed a space to write. And his wife, they were basically out the door, you know? Might as well make it official by buying a home.
Yeah, I love it that his attitude is kind of like, look, I'd be losing money if I didn't spend $80,000.
That's right.
It's got a dock, okay?
Eric, you mentioned Melanie's side story, which I think could have been really cool, except they kill her off like suddenly and rather brutally.
Yeah,
with a fly,
so
too.
brutally.
Brought that fly along.
Right.
I have the fly. It's like,
I was hoping she would like swerve her car and not like go and have the impaling that didn't actually get her. But
Right.
yeah, her car is kind of,
I like that. I like that. She hits. The impaling doesn't get her, and she's
Yeah.
like, "Whew!" And then a giant explosion.
yes,
Yes.
a small fire begins on where the photo of the face would have been through the briefcase.
Right.
And then engulfs her.
boom.
Which
And then the
is,
guy comes along and just casually watches.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see the. Oh, open the door. Oh, flames again.
I mean, she's gone by that point.
Oh,
What are
yeah,
you
he
going to
ain't
do?
doing anything.
She's literally been burnt to a skeleton.
Yes. And the skeleton does move, though.
I know. I love
Like
that.
briefly. That was
Another
very
3D
good.
moment with her hands going out there.
Oh, I love that.
The other thing that I guess, okay, so two things on this. I would have loved to have seen her story continue towards the end, and she could have died, in the climax or something like that.
Yeah.
But to have her die where she does feels like a production note, a studio note. It's like, we need somebody to start dying in this movie or something. And that's when I realized, this is a series up till now where people don't really die. The original DeFeos die, and that's what sets up the first movie. The second movie is just a long version of that setup for the first movie. And so this is a house that doesn't have a long body count until this movie starts.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
not
very
not so
strange.
violent with being violent.
Yeah. Let's see. What else have I got in here?
It was also the first Amityville movie that was not based on a book.
Right.
This is the
Oh.
only theatrically released one or something up until 2017 that,
Yeah. The
I
Ryan
mean,
Reynolds one.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you can't wait to get to that one. Anyways,
There is a kind of fun Ouija board scene.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah, that
when
was
she
neat.
gets all her friends together, and I thought that was pretty effective. But that's Meg Ryan again, really
Yes.
showing off.
yeah,
Yeah.
carrying that scene.
Yeah.
She just gives like a lifeless, the lines that she has probably aren't that exciting, but the way she says them and presents them is just so fun. Also, I guess this is what kids got up to before social media. You just put a bunch of letters randomly in a circle around and go, all right, we're going to talk to dead
Classic
people.
Ouija.
How much of that was a stylistic choice, and how much of it was we can't afford the rights to shoot a Parker Brothers Ouija board?
Ooh,
Good point. Yeah.
good question.
Because it is super interesting because it's not a typical Ouija board, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it looked really cool, and I don't know. I really enjoyed that scene.
That was
Maybe best scene in the movie?
No,
Still not yet?
no,
Oh,
not
man.
yet.
Get
I
there
like
yet.
that one a lot. But
I liked that one too because the two guys also were fairly fun for what they were doing.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, they wouldn't have been great the whole movie, but for those 2 scenes they were in or whatever,
The soda shop.
they added
Yeah.
something.
I liked them up until like the very end where the glass like runs off and smashes and they're like, you totally did that. Oh, and I was like, oh my God, you all have to shut up for like
See, that's
2
what
seconds.
made them awesome, because they're annoying teenage
No, they should have been like, whoa, did you see that? Instead of, yeah, I don't know. I was irritated by them in that very brief moment. I was like, she didn't do it, you idiots.
I have to admit,
It sucked her in. She had bought
Yeah,
them when they
yes.
had that point.
I have to admit, when I was 14, 15, I'd get friends over. We'd just try and make something like this happen with a
Totally.
Ouija board. And, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Okay. Another crazy scene that made me go, what the hell? Lori Loughlin is killed.
That is my
Yeah.
favorite scene.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it the scene where she comes walking back into the house
Yes.
dripping water? What a fascinating idea that they do nothing with.
Yeah, that was,
True. I mean, the ending, big question marks. We'll get there. But like her kind of entering the house, having such a snide smile at her mom, like, fuck you,
Oh, it's soaking wet.
soaking wet, just walks right on up. And you're like, what the fuck was that? And then, revealing the body in the background of
Yeah.
her just dead I thought was incredible. I loved that.
But it was also kind of it was an off-camera death, right?
Yes.
So I guess I was confused watching it. By the way, you guys, I watched this movie 3 fucking times for this podcast.
you figure 3 times would equal 3D, so you got the whole experience.
That's right. Eric, you get me.
Nice. I thought it was pretty cool just because that was one of the few creepy
Yes.
Yeah.
because all the other stuff they tried to be creepy. I was going, oh, this looks creepy. No, this is failing completely to be creepy. I want it to be creepy.
It kind of set up an expectation, or maybe not an expectation. I wonder if Ryan Murphy saw this, and then with American Horror Story, that first season, anyone who died on the grounds of the house then haunts that house.
Right.
And that's kind of what this reminded me of, but then it doesn't really do anything with it.
No, I felt like they had no idea what to do after the scene. It just felt so shotgunned plot wise. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
There's a real lack of traditional structure in this film. And I think it's because Tony Roberts' character, John, he's not allowed to naturally start changing.
Right. Yeah. No,
He has to deny everything until it's too late.
There was one big question mark for me though, as an editor when I was watching, and his wife goes to his workplace and confronts the scientist at the magazine and is like, I don't want my daughter in that house, blah, blah, blah. Like, she's so fucked up, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what are you responding to? This scene makes no sense where it is. And it really belonged after the girl is there doing the Ouija stuff or after she's there with her friend.
Oh, that's a good point. I wonder.
It was in the wrong spot. And then the mom is like, oh, I don't want you in there, blah, blah, blah. And then they should have had that scene where she goes and confronts the magazine. Because where it was, I was like, why the fuck are you here? What happened in the house that you don't want your daughter there? Because so far nothing has happened.
Well,
other than the house
previous stuff,
existing.
yeah.
But like she doesn't, I mean, the mom didn't seem to make any note of it before.
I'm not sure if we're supposed to like the mom, and I wonder if that was to make us not like the mom, and it
no
needed to be
idea.
put in earlier or something. Of course, at the end,
Maybe.
she's the only one along with John who survives, basically,
Yeah.
which is weird.
I mean,
Yeah.
she's the mom.
Oh, there you
She
go.
loves her daughter.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
Well, part of his character too is he was based on a real person.
right.
Stephen
Yeah.
Coughlin?
Oh, I've got a lot of notes on this guy.
Yeah. So that may have been where they went. He's like, well, I would never believe any of this stuff, so you cannot change my character.
No matter what, I'm not going to
Could be
think
a
it's
bad note
weird.
to take
The-
and keep.
Yeah.
I'm not. The noises aren't weird. The dreams aren't weird. All the little hints along the way. Nope. Don't worry about it.
The snow blowing up from the basement. Could happen anywhere.
Wind inside at all times.
Right. It's a drafty place.
Seems
Right.
strange.
Get outside and it's nice and warm. Oh, okay, whatever.
This has a shockingly boring third act.
It's just weird. It's just flipping weird.
Yeah.
Do we think that the team of parapsychologists is a ripoff of Poltergeist?
It looked
idea.
kind
It
of like
looked
them.
100% like it was. What year was Poltergeist?
I think also 83.
Yeah, it's the same year. But it also has to be the latest introduction of a paranormal team in a haunted house movie ever.
Ever.
It's like,
Ever.
oh shit, we got to do something in the third act. What do we do? Let's finally investigate the house as an investigative property
Right?
for our magazine.
Well, it also makes me wonder if this was studio notes. They had something else going on in the studio. Says, how about we do this instead? Work for Poltergeist.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so strange because I feel like the character of that science guy, I'm not entirely sure what he does. So I'm just calling him science. He, near the end, really gets oddly invested. And he's
Yeah.
like, I must confront the ghost.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's weird.
I wonder if he's just like the actor is just like, this is my time to shine. I'm going to definitely be the lead in Amityville 4.
Oh my God, he really went for it. And the explanation, it's like, we don't know what's happening. They have a paranormal team. They're like, there's some weird color thing going on upstairs that they don't show us. And then he's like, oh my God, I know what's happening. The spirit of your daughter is trapped and your wife is being led to it by a trick of something else. Yeah. And we need to get down there, but don't touch anything. And I'm like, where did this come from? How did you work that out, mister? Jeez. Wow. Oh my God.
Smart guy.
It's a good point.
Really smart guy.
He suddenly knows a lot more than he should.
100%. No one knows all of this. It's very strange.
Okay, so now I want to think that maybe he is also working with the house, or he works for a anti-Amityville horror specific team that's been sent by the church.
Yeah, he had a real Van Helsing vibe to him.
Yeah, he kind of did.
Where he's like, I know the truth and I'm going to jump in. I must face it. And then he chucks his face in the well and gets it burned. And he's like, it's worth it. And then as he's slowly getting dragged in there, he kind of shouts out some kind of piece of advice. I can't remember. It was very heroic. It was like, oh, don't let it do this, or fight till the end, or whatever.
Right.
I left my cheese out.
It was very weird, this guy.
It was such a nice looking pool of water.
It did look very
you've got
welcoming.
a lovely pool underneath your house now.
It's super interesting because the first movie has the floor split open, and the dog falls in, and what's his name goes back for the dog and pulls him out. And that was then just kind of termed a well to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They actually made it a well in the basement of this house.
They built a well.
Yeah.
There is a well now.
Yes.
I'm just, the mythos really gets me because I still remember the first and how the demon isn't the devil. It's a very specific demon, correct? Am I crazy?
I think so, yeah.
I don't remember that.
It was like a pig demon thing.
Right. There was that.
Oh, the pig demon. I don't think that was the
Main thing.
the only.
Okay, because I just, and in this
Right.
one, they're
Built on a
like,
Native American burial ground. You know how
I
it goes.
get a lot.
and the possession was like, oh, being possessed by the devil. And I was like, whoa, we just went up a few ranks in the hell mythos that this house happens to. And then all of a sudden, yes, the floor is a literal, way to get to hell. It was a lot. I don't know. I felt like
I
a
like
jump.
that Lucifer's sometimes I like to get hands-on with the possession stuff. And,
A little bored.
Right. This one, I'm gonna take this one for myself, guys, if you don't mind. What do you think of the 3D demon that we get to see at the end?
Oh, God. I'm here now. He just pops up and he's like, I'm this big rubber-suited thing.
was so
What's up?
Rubber-suited thing.
He's out of nowhere, too, because there's nothing physical like that the whole way through.
No.
There's frosted glass and wind and leaves and flies. And then it's like, hi, I'm a big demon guy.
Jim Henson designed a demon.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I kind of love how cheesy it is,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it really makes you wonder why they thought that a haunted house movie would be a good 3D subject.
You know, in retrospect, it sure doesn't.
Yeah.
We
Watch
need more
out.
sheets in here or something. What can we do?
Floating
Well,
glass.
I'll tell you what has to be studio notes is at the end of this movie, the house explodes.
Oh my God. Yes.
Man, or at least like a 2-foot high version of that
Yes.
house explodes.
It's like, oh, I guess we'll never have another Amityville
Yes.
horror film ever again.
Yes.
Ever.
Thanks for joining us for the 3 episodes of the podcast.
There's something about that. The only thing that would have made me love more the house exploding was if there was like a self-destruct button somewhere in the house that they had to get
Oh
to.
my God,
a
yes.
Mateo version. Yes,
That would have
definitely.
been incredible. The coat rack trying to break through the icy windows. That's really the real hero here.
It's
That
true.
coat rack was great.
It's true.
And
yeah.
those poor science kids.
You know what? I don't know. They couldn't have done it. It would have been too much of a ripoff. Doesn't Poltergeist end with the house being like sucked in,
Sucked
like
into the- yeah.
imploding,
Yeah.
basically?
Yeah.
So that would have been a cool way to do this. Or another cool thing would have been to show the house explode and all that stuff, and then run the credits over. Suddenly, the house just coming back.
Oh, there you go.
And yeah, a new for sale sign.
Yeah,
Either that
That'd
or
be
you go
great.
with like when Homer Simpson cleaned his underwear or something like that and all the demons escaped out of it. Add that into the fires.
Ooh, 3D demons flying out.
Okay. Thing I ask at the end of every one of these: do we like this movie?
I liked it up until the last third. I thought it was pretty, I thought it was kind of had some creepy, interesting stuff going on. I loved the opening a lot. Like, I love the creepy daughter drown bit. And I did feel like
good.
the reporter's death was a little early, the photographer. But
Yeah.
other than that, I was really into it. And then I was like, what the fuck just happened? It's a fucking movie. Where'd you forgot what you were up to. And now we're here.
Yeah, I was less impressed. I think partially because it does some really, really strange shit, especially the flies. The flies being omnipresent whenever something was going on, no matter where it was happening. It's like, okay, this is a weird choice. But the opening scene is freaking great. The debunking of the people at the paranormalist there is awesome.
Yeah, the big
And
fuck you to the Warrens.
There's
Secretly.
some great moments through the film that I thought were fun, but not as fun as a good horror movie.
Yeah, I would have to say this falls squarely in the so bad it's good,
Yeah.
and even then, it's boring in scenes. It's just that third act
Yeah.
was boring.
If the rest of the movie was like the third act, I would say it's so bad it's good. But then the first 2/3 are such a different film. It's really hard to categorize and know what to do with it.
Yeah. I hate to say it, it almost needs to be that procedural horror. Somebody, the girl, Melanie, who's assistant, the photographer, she needed to do more research, and that could have pulled her storyline all the way to the end, where maybe she's trying to save him, and I don't know.
She would have been a better
Than the mom.
person to try to save him. Yeah, because the mom already
Yeah.
they were going through divorce,
Yeah.
obviously, and she hated him and didn't want him to have anything to do with his daughter. And
Right.
so she was not a savior for that guy.
And basically, his actions caused the death of the daughter. So,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like this is a relationship that's going places.
No.
Vanessa,
Yes.
you were raised Catholic.
Yes.
Do you believe in God?
I believe in something. I don't know if God is the right word.
Do you believe in the devil?
These are really intense questions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I asked Carlos last episode the same stuff.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, in a way, yes. Yeah. But not in the way that other people do, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, well, please.
Well, because I don't know. I believe that there are positive forces in the universe and negative forces in the universe, and those negative things can be really, really, really negative.
But you don't believe in, say, punishment or reward for a way that you act in this
I don't
world.
know that I believe in hell, that's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely am not sure that hell exists. And actually, most Catholic priests, if you really drill them on it, in seminary, they're not taught that we know necessarily that anyone's in hell other than demons.
I'm telling you, hell exists. We are living in it right now.
Well,
There's
that's
that option.
That's
yes.
the Japanese view, but yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you believe in, just in general, supernatural ghosts?
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
like
I
that?
do,
You?
yeah.
Okay. As anything more than just like an echo that might be left on a house. I believe that, you have a traumatic enough event, you could probably imprint the walls of a place with some bad stuff. But I don't believe in vengeful ghosts, I guess.
I feel like there's something else that exists that we don't understand. Like whether that is an alternative universe that has reflections that occasionally pop up that we can't get, whether it's like echoes of a past event that's, resurfacing. I don't know how much I believe in like ghosts that are like, haha, new people are here.
Right.
I'm going to fuck them over.
Let's
like
throw a dish at them.
Yeah, like see what happens. Like I don't know how much of that I believe, but yeah.
Let's say that you are the person you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
You get a house where a number of people were killed in it. You've bought this house. You open the door to the basement and you get a cold wind that frosts your entire body. What's your thoughts? Do you say, I'm staying here, or
No, I definitely,
pretty quickly you've decided?
I would probably get a priest. I would go ahead and be like, you know what? Let's see what we can do about this, or burn it to the ground. Just like don't let other people, get sage, get shamans, get anything that you can do to make this a little bit better, and then try not to inflict it on anyone else.
Yeah, I don't believe in any of that stuff, but if something like that happens, you'd have to go, well, there is something I don't understand going on here.
Right.
And it certainly seems like this place is haunted.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like if the world has so many strange things that if you pay attention, it can really be like, what the fuck was that? And your brain tries to answer what that thing is. And sometimes we call that ghosts, and sometimes we call that aliens, and sometimes we call that magic,
Right.
whatever it is we call it. But I think it is good to be like, hey, that was weird. I think it's okay to say, hey, that was weird. I don't have the answer, but that was fucking weird. And maybe this house is not positive. Maybe we do something else with it.
Right.
I mean, any technology that is far enough advanced, presented far enough back, is magic.
Yep.
I mean, the idea, if you were landing in the new world or whatever, and that you could pick up a phone and call your family back in London and go, hey, we're here, which is an afterthought of the ability to do now. It's not even a concern. That would be terrifying.
Yeah.
If you went back to somebody in 1600s and said, here, this little device
Right.
will answer all your questions about damn near anything. It might not be right all the time, but you'll get answer.
Not a lot of 5G towers in the 1600s.
No, not really. No.
They would have definitely knocked those down.
Have you ever seen anything that you thought might be supernatural?
Yeah.
Yeah? Can you
Yeah.
share it with us?
Oh, God. Well, as a kid, I saw a lot of weird stuff. And I think the thing, though, that stands out the most to me is when I was living in England, I was really, really depressed for a period of time. And during that point, I was living in a dorm in London. It sounds so stupid.
Trust me, we've talked about this with everybody on the show. So
It's only the third episode.
everybody has a story.
All right. Well, okay. So I was living in this like old building in England, and they would have a boys' floor and a girls' floor and a boys' floor and a girls' floor, and the whole place emptied out basically every spring, which I didn't know. So over there for Easter break, it is like 2-3 weeks long. And people are like, where are you going to go for Easter? And I was like, nowhere, because I thought it was going to be like 3 days. And then no one was there, and I was left alone, which was great because there's no one in there. It was really upsetting. And my room happened to be across from the bathroom. So it's a shared bathroom that everybody uses. And I started to notice I would leave my door open weird little things would happen. There would be a sink that would constantly go on at the very far end of the bathroom, and it was always the same sink. And I never saw anybody leave it on. It was a twist one. It was not an automatic one. You'd have to physically twist it, and it wasn't loose or anything. And it was just every single time I went into that bathroom, it was full on pouring. I was like, well, that's really weird. I also thought I saw it looked like a repairman trying to fix a light bulb that was flickering all the time outside my room. He was on a ladder. He did not care about me. I was just like, well, you do your job, sir. You keep at it. One day, maybe you'll be able to touch that light bulb. He was not there. I can promise you that, but I did see him a few times. And the worst, though, was there was something in my room which looked like a nun, and she hated me, and she hated if I had a boy over. And she used to turn on my radio to extremely loud Spanish music in the middle of the night. Well, any hour, really. She would just full blast turn it on. And I really got fed up with it. She hated the guy I was seeing. And he did go into that bathroom one time and get pushed through the stall and hit his head on the sink, and it was bleeding everywhere. So that there isn't a lot. And I understand that sometimes our brains do funny things, but I was like, you know what? This fucking dorm's haunted. This is a fucking haunted dorm, and it's fine. I just kind of was like, well, this is how it is at the time. I was like, well, I'm just living with these things, whatever they are. And the only one that pissed me off was the nun. She was the worst, but the repair guy was fine. Whatever was going on, if the sink thing was different, that was fine. But yeah.
The human brain is so strange because when you get confronted with something that seems impossible, your brain just finally goes, well, I mean, what am I going to do? I live here.
Right.
And
right. That's correct.
I'm not just going to go home just because the voice said, get out.
100%. You're like, well, look, I've already paid for the rest of the month. What am I going to do? Like, I had nowhere to go. I only had a few friends at that point. I was just like, I can't afford to fly home. It's not that big of a deal. Right. You just kind of roll with it.
Nobody's died yet, except for apparently the ghosts that are haunting this place.
Your boyfriend might have thought differently at the time. It's like, I don't know. This is not, I don't want to come. You come visit me.
He was in the floor above me, so he couldn't go very far. Yeah, he was a little bit trapped. Yeah, that was unfortunate. But I gave him Spider-Man Band-Aids for his head, and I was like, there you go. Make up for it. It's all going to be fine.
I totally lied. Nobody else had a story like this. You're insane.
It's fine.
I have some trivia on this movie, you guys. The disclaimer on the posters, video box cover, and at the end of the credits reads, this film is not a sequel to the Amityville Horror or Amityville 2, The Possession.
Oh.
Yep.
It's not a sequel.
Right.
It's its own separate event.
Well, so it is, like Eric alluded to, the character of John Baxter is loosely based on Stephen Kaplan and his investigation of the house. So Stephen Kaplan,
even though he's a vampirologist.
Yes, died in 1995, was an American paranormal investigator, vampirologist, and founder-director of the Vampire Research Center and the Parapsychology Institute of America. So, Vanessa, just to catch you up. In 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. kills his parents and siblings in the house, right? Mm. George and Kathy Lutz move into the house, and that is the basis of the Amityville Horror. Mm. Jay Anson's book, The Amityville Horror, chronicles the paranormal events, but Kaplan's book, The Amityville Horror Conspiracy, counters Anson's work and argues that Lutz deliberately defrauded the public. Did you find this where George Lutz originally reached out to Kaplan?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wanted to work with him.
So according to Kaplan, in 1976, shortly after the Lutzes abandoned the house, he received a phone call from George. And at the time, Kaplan was the executive director of the Parapsychology Institute of America. Mm-hmm. And Lutz requested that Kaplan and his associates investigate the home. Kaplan claims Lutz asked about a fee for the group services, and he told him that they did not charge for the investigation, but, quote, if the story is a hoax, the public will know, unquote. And shortly after, Lutz called and canceled the investigation.
Oh. Wow. There you go.
Huh. So the respective claims of the Kaplans and the Lutz family are the subject of a documentary called Amityville Horror or Hoax. Have you seen that one, Eric?
Which one again?
Horror or Hoax.
I think I have. That came out a long time ago.
Yeah,
didn't it?
yeah, I think it was 1983-ish also.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah,
Yep.
the whole thing. I've told this story before on the show, but I'll tell it to you, Vanessa. I saw George Lutz speak at Horror Find in Baltimore one of the years I went there, and he basically came out and told the entire crowd, "Look, we made it up."
Wow.
And he talked about how they made it up and everything. And then Q&A after his talk, hands go up, and they were like, so the red room underneath the stairs.
Oh, no.
Did you actually see the face of this guy here? And he was like, no, we made that up.
Oh my God.
And then another hand would go up. So the well to hell.
Oh no. Oh
So
no.
nobody,
weird.
I mean, people want to believe this story very, very badly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's too bad. I mean, I think again, people just want to believe the world has all these crazy things going on it, and they want to understand it and define it.
I think most of us just want to believe there's something bigger than this.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's probably what it comes down to.
Yeah. I think you're right.
I got some of this. The film was a critical and financial failure when it was released, effectively killing off any plans for further Amityville-inspired films. For a long time, every Amityville film that came out after this one was either straight to video or made for television, and I can't wait to get into that made for TV
That'll be
section
interesting.
because it is wild. Until the Amityville horror that Ryan Reynolds was in.
That sounds exciting.
The video release ran into some weird problems.
Of this one?
Yeah, because a lot of people thought one of two things. Either they're ticked off because it was released as Amityville 3D originally,
Right.
and were mad that, well, this isn't 3D. And or the other reaction was people rented it thinking it was the original film done into 3D.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why the box art, although the movie credits never changed, the box art changed to Amityville 3 The Demon because of that reaction.
Right.
Which demon?
The demon at the end.
No, I know, but which?
Oh, you want to know his
I
name?
want to know his name. 'Cause
Paul.
Okay, thank you. I'm good.
Legal disputes with George and Kathy Lutz prevented this film from legally being presented as a sequel. And you'll notice that this is called Amityville 2. It's not, or Amityville 3. It's not Amityville Horror 3. None of the films are the Amityville Horror except for the first one because George and Kathy would not sign off on it. As a result, any reference to the Lutz family by name could not be made in the film. And the disclaimer was placed that it was a unrelated film that just so happens to be loosely based on a later part of a true story. Furthermore, the DeFeo family is referenced more than once in the film, despite the fact that in Amityville 2, the name had been changed to Montelli, which then brings up further disputes on if the second film is a prequel or actually a sequel. Vanessa, this franchise is bonkers, and we haven't gotten to the bonkers movies yet.
Well, I just figure every film that happens after the third one must take place before the third one, so it has to be before 1983.
Because of the explosion at the end.
House.
Yeah,
good
because that's the
point.
final,
Jason, whatever. Jason's dead.
Listen, you guys, spoiler, I saw Amityville in space a couple weeks ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
snap.
I don't know how there's other Amityville films after that one, I'll tell you that much. Because
It's in space.
the house is now floating out in space.
Did they explain why it's floating in
Oh,
space?
yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
You know,
Then it's fine.
random thought here about that episode, that particular one.
Yeah.
Nick Gucker art would have made a fantastic cover for the DVD or poster for that particular.
Well,
entry.
they had pretty great cover art. There's nothing. In fact,
That's
if they
where
had
they
used
have
that
to do
cover art in the movie somewhere, if they had just had that with like one of those new effects that makes pictures move, that would have been better than the effects in the movie.
Oh. Please say that Earth is destroyed, but the house is floating around, and aliens go to investigate and accidentally go in the house, and they're like, "Oh my God, what's in here?"
There is a kind of from the movie Alien kind of feeling where
Oh,
future astronauts find the house floating in space and then enter the house, which is clearly not the Amityville house, but somebody's small, two-story rambler, or not two-story, but one-story rambler, and
it
they
doesn't have
left all
the
of the
3
furniture.
floors, 4 floors worth of
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
For a long time, none of the 17 reviews accumulated on Rotten Tomatoes were positive, resulting in a 0% rating.
Woof.
It received a slightly higher 5% rating in 2019 and now sits at a whopping 18%. In 100 years, this movie will be certified fresh, you guess.
There you go.
At this rate.
I believe that.
Eric,
Beautiful.
do you have more?
I thought it's kind of interesting. This is a American-Mexican production.
Yeah.
So the exteriors were shot, obviously, at least just a little bit of the exteriors of the original house were shot in New Jersey. All the interiors were in Mexico. Most of the city, most of the driving scenes were also all shot in Mexico City. So that's a interesting combination of blending worlds together, but it worked.
Yeah. And none of this was shot at the original house. So this is a facade on a house in that neighborhood.
Oh.
And that's why it changes the placement of the eyes at one point was when they had to go back for reshoots. The house that it was on, the people didn't want them doing those eyes in the front again because apparently it was too recognizable. Yeah. So they built the eyes facing the water this time and reshoots. And so this movie really starts the entire thing of, we don't care about any continuity in anything.
It's all the demons, just changing everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say demons versus like living angry house are two very different stories.
Vanessa, I really wanted to get you in while we were still talking about the theatrical releases. This takes a real nosedive as we go forward, although there is a time travel one that's kind of fun, direct-to-video, stuff like that. Do you have a good time? Would you come back and look at another movie in this series with
absolutely.
us?
No, I mean, I've only seen now 3 of them.
Yeah.
So I'm down to
I'm actually
clown.
close to that with you because this one never struck with me because of the reveal that they did. So I think I've actually I've seen the first one, and before we started doing this, I'd seen the original and I'd seen that remake, and that was it. I hadn't seen the second one. I hadn't seen the third one.
Right.
All new.
The second one is the gem of this franchise.
It's
as far as
dark.
I'm
Yeah.
It's
concerned.
dark as hell.
It was a real surprise to come to this and see that first one and realize this movie really sucks. Why does everybody like this movie? And then find out that nobody really likes this movie.
Yeah.
So this is a
Perception.
real shitty franchise.
But it made so much money.
Did it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's got 40 movies in the franchise, but they're all being made, several of them being made by the same people in the same year because this is, one of those things like, what's the other franchise that they're doing this with?
Well, they did with Hellraiser for a while, but that was more
but I mean,
video.
that's an actual thing because this is basically public domain.
Oh, right.
The 3 of us could make a franchise or a Amityville
Amityville.
movie, Amityville podcast. Wait a second.
Whoa.
We're doing it right now.
It's happening.
And I'm trying to think of the things I saw coming out in 2023.
Oh, the ones that
Cocaine Bear, Amityville Cocaine Bear.
There you go.
Amityville Cocaine Bear.
Yes.
There you go.
Incredible.
So that's how this is going to go, you
Oh
guys.
my God.
And I kept thinking, we'll do this show for 5 years or something, but no, we'll be able to do this show forever if you're willing to continue watching the movies.
Well, I will come
see.
back for sure.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. Well, that is the show then. Hey, big thanks to everybody who likes and shares all of these things. We're going to be releasing these as standalone episodes on their own feed, but also find us on Strange Aeons Radio, which is the 3 of us talking about genre films and stuff like that.
And good.
And then I don't know who our guest is for next episode yet.
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't set one up.
And to be honest, I'm not even sure which film is next. I know it's number 4, but is it the time travel one or is it the dollhouse one?
Oh.
But look at production years now.
Yeah, it's about to get weird, guys. Okay, we'll be back in. What are we releasing these, Eric? Once
Probably
a month, maybe?
yeah.
Yeah, and we'll be back in a month. We're talking about Amityville Horror 4-ish.
4-ish?
Somewhere around there.
Rhymes with.
Why do you believe it when the present owners say there's no truth to it at all? And they've been living here for almost 2 years. Oh, I didn't know they had present owners. I thought it was deserted.
A man who said he was a friend of the Cromedies also came by, but insisted he not be photographed. You say a friend of yours lives here and you've been in the house. Is there any truth to all these stories that it's haunted and there are weird smells and slime and all those other things?
Nothing at all. It's all a bunch of lies.
Well, how do you feel about all these tourists coming by and the movie opening and all of this? What do you think of that?
Well, I live right down the road and it's a pain in the neck because you can't even get down the block.
But when we started rolling the cameras, I had no idea just how much of a pain in the neck it was for the man now temporarily living in the house. As Frank Birch and another man came to the porch, I walked up the driveway to talk to him. He refused and demanded I leave. I thought I did so fairly quickly, but apparently not quickly enough. Within minutes, a police car arrived, then another. Birch came out and told the police he was pressing charges, my crime trespassing. I begged for mercy. None was forthcoming. I was shown into a police car and driven to the Amityville police station. Inside, officers pulled out 8 separate forms to be signed. I sat by nervously while my camera crew waited outside. Mercifully, I was finally able to convince Mr. Birch that I had not intended to cause any problems and had not in fact been aware I was trespassing. He signed forms rescinding his charges. I signed forms releasing him from charges of false arrest. We shook hands, and after more than an hour in captivity, I was finally free.